Hi, everybody. It's me, Aura. Testing, testing. I think my chat might still be broken, but hello, how's everyone doing today? I think you're able to hear this crying of the cicadas in the background. So you know what that means. We're going to be playing more Higurashi no Naku Koro ni Hou. Last time, we talked to Detective Oishi, and we basically have an agreement with him to keep things between us a secret, not let anyone know that we know about these murders that are happening. If you missed last time, Mio Takano, the city nurse, town nurse, village nurse, and Mr. Tomitake, the photographer, were both brutally murdered after the festival that we had. So that's kind of a bummer. But you know, it is what it is. What it is. It's part of the story, right? But we're gonna try to get to the bottom of it. Is it really the work of humans or Oyashiro-sama's curse? We will find out, won't we? Okay, I'm gonna see if I can fiddle with my chat a little bit first. Let's see. What if I... Boop. No, that didn't do nothing. Bear with me. And... Okay. I'm gonna type in my own chat and see if that did anything. Stream elements, please. All right. Well, that's fine. Okay. Is everyone ready to go? Ready to revisit the village of Hinamizawa? Ready to get our sneak on? Then here we go. Whoop. And just like that, we're here. Hi, Miss Whiskey. Nice to see you. Yeah, the chat's broken. Chat's totally broken. That's fine. It is what it is. I will, I don't know. I'll wrestle with it after the stream. But, sneak. Yeah, we got a sneak. I have to act completely natural around my friends who have no idea that I'm over here talking to a detective behind their backs. And I hope my audio is okay. If anything sounds a little fuzzy or a little loud, a little quiet, please let me know. We are going to begin. Wait! I hit start. Hold on. Hold on. Wait. Exit. I needed to hit continue. Yes, yes. Thank you. Continue. Last we left off, we were at the end of chapter 7. So I guess we're beginning chapter 8. Let's go. Oh gosh. Okay. Sleepy. Whoa, that was a really big yawn, Keiichi-kun. Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can get my chat to show up in the, what's it called? In the OBS, because I like being able to see you guys while I play. Well, that's fine. I'll just view it through YouTube's studio. It's no biggie. Scuff people, we love the scuff. I'm usually awake once it's time to eat, but doesn't look like I can do it today. I was watching TV until late last night. I'm so tired right now. Oh, hello, Val. Welcome. We just got started. Was one of those raunchy TV shows you love so much on last night? How extremely vile! Don't jump to conclusions. It's perfectly normal for boys. Nothing to be ashamed about. Rika not patting my head only made me feel worse. Could you just let me pass out this lunch break? No, seriously.
My, you think I would just sit here and allow that?
I'll get really angry if you disturb me. Really angry. This was just dreadful. Just so sleepy. I slumped my head onto the desk and drifted off into an afternoon nap. It seemed that Satoko had responded, but I pretended not to hear. Cut it out, Satoko-chan. Keiichi-kun fell asleep. Oh, that was probably Reno. Yep.
His sleeping face, so cute.
Hi, Bridgie! How you doing? It's good to see you. You can take him home later. Let him be for now. Let's move over there. It'd be rude to Keiichi if we bothered him now. Rika-chan really is a good girl. Let's not wake him up, even if the teacher comes back. I take that back. The excuse that I didn't sleep much last night because I was watching TV was a lie. I was in bed at the usual time, but because of the conversation with Oishi-san that afternoon, I didn't get much sleep. Just spending the day like this, it's almost as if the incident with Tomitake-san didn't happen at all. It made me think, was Oishi-san just trying to deceive me? But it was probably the truth. One thing was certain. I couldn't speak to anyone about it. He wanted my assistance, but I really didn't know anything about it. If I knew I wasn't going to be of any help, I probably wouldn't have listened in the first place. It ended up with me, again, regretting learning something I didn't need to know. Bridgie says, a good girl. They're all good girls. No bad girls here. If I had never learned about it, I would, without a doubt, be goofing off with the rest of them right now. I couldn't help but resent Oishi-san for this. Huh? When was that? I heard he wasn't there the next day. It appears he vanished the night of the Watanagashi. Mion whispered to keep others from listening, but I could hear it clearly. On the other hand, Rena's voice was even harder to pick up, but I could still tell that she was quite upset. Hi, Moe Moe Mocha. Nice to see you. Oh, there's so many of you here today. I hope you have a good time. It couldn't be. Are they talking about Tomitake-san? Take? Not sure. That's all I know. I would have to feign ignorance about this topic because I needed to keep it a secret. Rather than waking up and being forced to lie to join the conversation, it was much easier just to sit here and pretend I was asleep to listen in on their discussion. Wait. What? I have a notification? Oh, thank you for subscribing, Moe Moe Mocha. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Wait, why did I have to pretend to be asleep while eavesdropping on my friend's conversation? The guilt stung. So, and me. There are others, right? Too. But they don't know if it's from the curse or if this was an Onikakushi. Onikakushi? Onikakushi? To be hidden away by a demon? What a mysterious phrase. I did, however, get the feeling it meant nothing good. Yeah, well, there was another, right? Right? If it's Oyashiro-sama's. Yeah. But, this year, at all? Grandma and the mayor had talked about it. Seems they talked to the police about it beforehand. They said they'd take care of whatever happens this year without causing a commotion. Then, without us knowing it, someone had them, you mean? Maybe. Next could be, I wonder. Don't worry. You got home safely. But is not allowed, right? That was a long time ago. Let's stop talking about this. Amidst the uncomfortable mood, both of them went silent. The entirety of the conversation was still a bit unclear, but a few parts caught my attention. First of all, the term Onikakushi, to be demoned away. By the context it was used in, I would guess it's similar to being spirited away. I suspected that what was that was what it meant, because Tomitake-san and that woman, it really bugged me that I don't know her name, vanished after the Watanagashi. The next thing that stuck out was when Rena said, "There's another one, right?" Mion also said, "If it's Oyashiro-sama's, yeah, responding to something. If it's Oyashiro-sama's curse, then there had to be 2 victims. Is that what she meant?" Come to think of it, I remember Mion saying at the beginning that they didn't know if it was from the curse or if it was a case of Onikakshi. It seems that the curse and being demoned away were different things, and they were phenomena that were paired together. I recalled Tomitake-san's terrible end. That wasn't something as elegant as disappearing. That horrendous end would best be described as cursed. Then, the woman with him. It seems she vanished because she was demoned away. What I do know is that there's normally an even number of victims of the curse proper. And the last point that bothered me was Rena. Rena was frightened. For what reason, I didn't know. However, she knew that something had made her a potential target for Oyashiro-sama's curse. If I recall correctly, Oyashiro-sama should be the guardian deity of Hinamizawa. Isn't a guardian deity supposed to defend the citizens and drive out invaders? If I recall correctly, yesterday Oishi-san said that originally the targets were enemies of the village, but recently there was no longer any distinction between them or regular outsiders. But if that was the case, then I would think that I'd be the more likely target, having moved here more recently than Rena. From her composure, I could infer that she was grimly certain that she would be next. I should probably relay what I heard just now to Oishi-san. Informing the police of what I heard by eavesdropping on my friends while pretending to be asleep. It made me feel terrible. It raised a few questions and left me with a bad taste in my mouth. Would it be better not to seek the answers to those questions? As I continued to learn more and more, I felt like I had fallen past the point of no return. I would definitely regret this one day. I would definitely regret ever having learned of these events. Oh, we're back to the happy music.
The teacher approaches! Keiichi-san, you must awaken!
In the distance, I could hear the ring of the handbell signaling the start of afternoon classes. I couldn't sleep at all! I hastily opened my eyes and raised my head up. It was in... Ah! I got jump scared. Okay. It was in that moment when I leaned against the back of my seat. There was a thumbtack stuck on the back of my chair with tape. Circumstantial evidence was enough. Satoko! Guilty without trial. Capital punishment! I furiously jumped up from my seat. And I tripped as if my feet were tangled up. My shoelaces had been tied together. Not bad, Satoko! While I was sleeping, you were able to conceal your presence and able to pull off this fine piece of work. The teacher came in right as I was about to pull off my shoes and tackle Satoko.
Did you not notice that our teacher has arrived, Keiichi-san? Take your seat!
Clomp, clomp, wish, whiff. Not caring one bit, I made her eat a flick to the forehead.
Keiichi-san is being mean!
Hey, don't pick on the younger kids, Maibata-kun. Apologize to her. I saw Satoko stick her tongue out at me. That little brat! Come on, Maibata-kun. Yeah, I'll apologize. Sorry, Satoko-san. In any case, I apologized, even if it was in a completely insincere tone of voice. Damn her. I'll remember this. Kei-chan, get your revenge at the club meeting. Take your seat. I sat down after Mion told me to. She'd switched to class representative mode. School over? I hope. With the boring classes finished, school was finally over for the day. Now then, what should we do for our club today? Personally, I would like to play that deduction game one more time. I was hardly able to play it last time because of Oishi-san. Rena and I weren't even able to test out our strategy.
That's right. Today, Keiichi-kun and I will be victorious. What should we do? We've never played the same game 2 days in a row before. Why not try asking me?
Mion looked over her shoulder as we made eye contact. She slowly tapped her palm with her fist as her face suddenly lit up. Oops! I completely forgot. I need to go help my uncle today. Sorry guys, not today. Helping your uncle? Aren't you a little goody two-shoes? Sorry, really. I really did forget. Well then, sorry guys. This old man is heading back home now. Mion left us with that and rushed off to the exit after snatching up her bag.
You see, Mi-chan, she sometimes goes to help out at her uncle's shop in town.
Ah, I thought she wasn't the type to get caught up in such bothersome stuff.
She said that she gets paid for it. It's quite a bit of spending money from what I hear.
I see. She was able to pay for that mountain of games with what she saved up from there. But wouldn't you call that a part-time job? Isn't that against school policy?
There's a clause that states family businesses are excluded.
Is that what she's calling it? So what now? Pass on the club today?
So, we're done today, I guess?
Won't it be fine even without the club president? Let's do this. I opened the club locker and began searching for the deduction game from that ever-growing pile of games. Ah, here it is, the deduction game from yesterday. Man, I had to stop just as I was getting the hang of it. At the very least, I wanted to repay Satoko for what she did during the afternoon break.
I do not mind, but is that fine for Rena-san and Rika? If Keiichi-kun wants to so badly, I wouldn't mind playing for a bit. I think it's better if we do it when we have everyone together.
When she says it like that,
I wanted to go shopping if there wasn't a club meeting today. Going to buy soy sauce and other things.
Oh, that's right. I completely forgot.
Well, I guess since it's been a while, I should go treasure hunting.
What's this now? Everyone was no longer in the mood for club activities. If I kept on trying to push the matter, it may make them realize I had a trick up my sleeve. Ah well, I'll give up this time. Man, I really was looking forward to playing it. I shuffled through the cards as if I was still caught up on it.
At the next opportunity, I shall give you a sound thrashing.
The murderer is Satoko. The murder weapon is the pistol. It was you after all.
What did you say? Then I'll just...
Satoko looked through the cards on the desk and stuck out 3 of them at me.
The murderer is Keiichi in the lounge with the rope.
I don't need no rope. I'll just strangle you like this.
No! Keiichi-san is such a beast.
Phew. Well, I guess it's good that I got that out of my system.
Blah! I'll remember this, Keiichi-san. She was used as a plaything for quite a while.
How unfortunate.
Cute.
Boy, these girls, they've got some interesting hobbies. Also, Satoko is such a crybaby. I mean, I guess I don't blame her. Everyone got ready to go back home. I also helped gather up the scattered cards. I suddenly paused. They were just the suspect cards, but I noticed something strange. Rena, Satoko, Rika, Keiichi, Mion, Satoshi. Satoshi? Not all the cards were made by us. Or at least, every card besides this one has the name of a club member. Does this mean that this Satoshi fellow is a member? Was there someone in the class named Satoshi? I couldn't find anyone named Satoshi on the class roster stuck up on the wall.
Keiichi-kun, let's hurry and finish cleaning up.
Being rushed by Rena, I finished up quickly. Satoko and Rika-chan had already headed merrily for their lockers, so we were the only ones left in the classroom. Right now, Rena had already gotten her bag and was ready to leave. Rena, there must be quite a few people who transfer from this school, right? I tried asking Rena in a bit of a roundabout way. Rena made a troubled face and then answered.
Yeah. Hinamizawa is a rural town, right? Some people transfer out every now and then.
Then is Satoshi another one of those transferees?
Sorry, I don't really know.
There was a bit of a pause, but the answer was pretty much immediate.
I'm not saying it to be mean. Just last year, I transferred in. So maybe I just missed him. So I didn't hear much about him. Sorry.
I'm not sure. Sorry. Her answer was a lot like when she refused to tell me about the murder at the dam. I was saddened by her denial and felt a little bit of anger. I'm their friend, aren't I? Friends don't keep secrets from their friends, do they? Though I do appreciate that they kept that unsettling curse thing from me. But if everyone is worried about it, I'd rather be worried with them. That's what it means to be friends, right? For a moment, I wondered just what kind of face I was making just then, with these mixed feelings of sadness and annoyance.
Keiichi-kun, you're making a scary face. Why is it? Why?
It was probably exactly the kind of face Rena said it was. It appeared my grim expression had frightened her. Sorry. I was really looking forward to the club today. I'm just feeling down about it. I rustled Rena's hair. Let's go home. Dragging that awkward mood with us, we headed home. Poor Keiichi! I feel so bad for him. I want them to communicate and tell the truth to each other. I wonder why. Why have I been getting this dumb feeling lately? I didn't know anything. I had nothing to worry about. I was just enjoying my everyday life. My long, outstretched shadow gave no answer to my naive inquiry.
Keiichi-kun, are you tired maybe? Maybe?
Rena timidly questioned the reason behind my mood. I'm sure my expression made the situation even more unsettling. You think so?
Yeah. You seem to have been a little out of it ever since this morning. Maybe a cold?
Physically, I was pretty sure I was in perfect health. It may not seem like it, but I've had perfect attendance since elementary school. Rena continued on since I didn't give her an answer.
It could be that the fatigue from moving has finally caught up to you. It's completely different from where you used to live, after all. Of course you've gotten tired, since there's so much you need to get used to and remember.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, it has to be. Rena was also like that at first, too. I can tell, you know?
I wondered if Rena also experienced the slight bit of alienation last year that I was feeling right now. Thinking so, I felt that she was the only one who could understand how I felt. I'd like to hear about when you first came to Hinamizawa. How was it? Feeling I'd been drawn into the conversation, her face suddenly brightened.
It was the same as Keiichi-kun. I didn't know the villagers' names at all. Michan and the rest were all very kind, so I wasn't lonely, but I did still feel a little out of place.
Rena told me all the details of when she had moved here. Taking a sip of water! Okay. All of her first acquaintances and surprises. Worries and good times. So, Satoko got you too?
Yeah, there was a thumbtack put on my chair. Poke. Then with that, that really takes me back.
When were you invited to the club? The first day?
Nah, there wasn't a club at the beginning. It was formed partway through. One day she said we should stay after and hold a big game tournament.
Come to think of it, Mion did say she was the first club president. Now I get it.
This is a secret, but Michan used to be really bad at the beginning. She'd never win.
Huh? Mion, really? I can't even imagine that.
She had to do most of the penalties that she came up with. Seriously, don't tell.
I can't believe Mion was like that. So she gradually transformed into a monster who used any means necessary to win during that game. Miona's at her best when she's fighting dirty.
I began making more friends besides Michan after that, but yeah. It might have only been since you moved here that I finally felt like I had gotten used to it here.
I guess Rena had also been left in the dark about Oyashiro-sama when she had just moved here. I guess when they finally told me about Oyashiro-sama, I'd be considered one of them. I wonder when I'll finally be considered one of them.
Huh? Did you say something?
No, sorry. Just talking to myself.
Keiichi-kun, you're silly.
Rena was poking fun and laughing at me, and I couldn't help but laugh as well. But I suddenly stopped. Then, after making up my mind, I spoke. Hey, Rena. Is there something that everybody is keeping from me?
Huh? No, not at all.
You're lying, aren't you? Rena suddenly stopped. Her expression was cold and intense.
What do you mean by that, Keiichi-kun?
Her tone was still the same cheery and lighthearted one as before. You are, aren't you? Keeping something from me. After understanding what I meant, her expression grew even more intense. Seeing that face, I regretted saying something so rash. But she came back at me in a way I didn't expect.
Well then, Keiichi-kun, aren't you keeping something from us?
Huh? Her tone didn't change, but it was the first time I'd seen this expression from Rena. With how her gaze pierced through me, I couldn't believe this was the same Rena.
Aren't you? Lies or secrets, aren't you?
You are. Secrets. She didn't actually say that part, but she looked as if she did. The incident with Tomitake-san, and how I felt alienated from the group. Even without having to think about it, there were things I knew that I felt guilty about. But I didn't tell everyone about what happened with Tomitake-san to be considerate. I was keeping it a secret just the same way they didn't tell me about Oyashiro-sama. Then, aren't we even? No, I'm not. No lies, nor secrets.
Liar.
Her answer was instant, and it shook me. Rena stared as if burrowing through me, watching me, like a hawk. Why would you say I'm lying?
Didn't you say that you were called into the teacher's room yesterday during the club meeting, Keiichi-kun? I know. You didn't go to the teacher's room.
I swallowed hard. It clearly wasn't a bluff. She knew what happened.
The teacher said you had a guest, didn't she? But you didn't talk at the entrance. You talked inside the car, near the school gate. With some man we don't know.
Rena knew everything. She knew that I was called out by Oishi-san, and that I heard about the incident with Tomitake-san as well. Did she know all of it?
Exactly who was that man?
I don't know him.
Why did someone you don't know have business with you?
I want to know that myself.
Then what did you talk about?
It has nothing to do with you guys. It was a lie.
Lies!
Rena's scream echoed through the trees, sending frightened birds into the air. I couldn't exhale the deep breath I had just taken. No. It was like I wasn't allowed to exhale. It was here I first realized the person in front of me. She wasn't Rena Ryugu. Then, who was it that was standing before me now? Who had assumed Rena Ryugu's appearance? I'd held my breath for so long I could feel myself suffocating.
Right?
And then she made a facial expression that Rena normally might have made. It didn't matter that it was Rena's usual smile. It chilled me to the bone. She drew closer to me. I felt her breath against my face. It wasn't the least bit exciting. Whoever this was with Rena's face was going to chew my nose right off. I cowered as I imagined that. Then she smirked as if she was able to see right through me.
We also have secrets, just like how Keiichi-kun has secrets.
It was Rena's usual smile, but her eyes were still like that of a hawk's. Bringing her face close enough to mine to almost bump into my nose, she kindly persuaded me. I couldn't nod or shake my head. This person standing in front of me, this person who looked like Rena, frightened me to my core. I was terrified, knowing that she could hear the sound of me swallowing nervously. After what felt like an eternity, after a long, empty silence, she finally spoke.
Let's go. It's getting chilly.
It was Rena again. Smiling at me once more, she started walking as if nothing at all had happened. When I was released from her gaze, my legs gave out from under me and I slumped onto the ground. I wasn't able to lift a finger until Rena was out of sight. Who was that? I felt cold. My body was drenched in sweat. I was finally able to form a coherent thought and ask myself once again, who was that person who looked like Rena Ryugu? Woo! Ah, that was scary. That was so scary. Ah! Okay. I think I need to grab my blanket. 1 second. My blanket is not here. I'm doomed. I was out of it and couldn't bring myself to do anything until dinner, except stare blankly into space. Was I terrified from Rena going off on me? No, that's not right. That was someone else who only looked like Rena. Then, who could it have been? It was a dreadful feeling, knowing that that was someone else, not Rena. So tomorrow I shouldn't have a problem talking to Rena like I usually do. That thought was strangely comforting. I concluded that I should just calm down and clear my head, though those thoughts continued swirling around in my mind. Finally, I returned to my senses as I heard my mother calling out to me from the bottom of the steps. Keiichi, it's a call from the bookstore. Bookstore? Can't think of why they'd be calling me. I went downstairs and picked up the receiver anyway. My apologies for calling so late at night. It's me, Oishi of the Okinomiya bookshop. Oishi-san? Oh, it's Oishi-san. Sorry, since your parents picked up, I said I was from the bookstore. It puts people off when I say I'm a police officer. Yeah, no kidding. Oishi-san was, in his own way, rather courteous. Even so, I didn't want my parents hearing me talk to the police. I brought the cordless phone with me as I dashed back up to my room on the second floor. Sorry for calling so late. That phone number on the piece of paper I gave you yesterday was the old number. My apologies. Can you copy down the number I'm about to give you? Okay. He gave me the number for his direct line as I wrote it down. I thought that was the end of it, but he began making pointless small talk, and it was pretty hard to hang up. So how's it been, Maebara-san? Did anything strange happen recently? I see. This was the real reason. He really beat around the bush there. His adult conversational skills left me slack-jawed. Are you from around here, Oishi-san? Yeah, I am. Born and raised in Okinomiya. If he's from around here, he might know. Oishi-san, do you know what this Onikakshi thing is about? I believe that's when somebody suddenly vanishes because they've been abducted by a demon. It's a special saying from around here. It has the same meaning as spirited away, like everyone else says. Whereas my friends would say they didn't know when I asked, this older man gave me a direct answer. Sorry, drinking more water. It made me a bit happy that he answered me directly without trying to hide anything. Hinamizawa was... not sure if I should tell you this, Maebara-san. Don't try to play this off. If you're not going to talk, then I'm not going to tell you anything. No, that's not what I meant. It's just, it may make you feel bad. You see, long ago, Hinamizawa was feared as the village where demons reside. Demons? By demons, you mean those pitchfork-carrying things in hell? More like human-eating monsters. Oh, like Onis. They'd go down to villages, snatching people up and gobbling them down. That kind of tale.
Demon snatching up people is what this Onikakshi really means.
They said that the curse and being demoned away happened together. What does that mean? Okay, this is probably Keiichi talking. Oh well, it doesn't matter. I already knew about the mysterious deaths happening 5 years in a row. But I didn't know that there were people disappearing for those same 5 years. The curse and being demoned away happened together? Oh, first time I've heard of that. Is that how it is, Maibata-san? That's what I want to know. I heard Rena and Mion talking. They said that if it was really Oyashiro-sama's curse, then both the curse and demoning away would happen. Oishi-san began hemming and hawing on the other end of the receiver. Maybe something about that came to mind? Maibata-san, do you know the first incident? The murder by dismemberment? Yeah. One of the 6 perpetrators is still on the run, right? Hypothetically, what if he isn't on the run, but was demoned away? Huh? It was an outrageous hypothesis from Oishi-san. Wait, hold on. Okay. The incident 4 years ago was the particularly ghastly one. The police already knew the perpetrators, so they posted tons of wanted posters with his face on them. They staked out various locations and investigated every possible escape route he had. But after 4 years, there wasn't even a hint of where he might be. Unless the police were completely incompetent, which is possible. Even if it was an outrageous hypothesis, I couldn't simply laugh it off. Then what about the incident the next year, when the man who supported the project and his wife both died in an accident? Well, actually, it was only the husband who died in an accident. His wife's body never surfaced. Unless we find the body, then it's considered a missing person by law. At the time of the incident, with the river below the cliff being muddy rapids, the police divers had searched every branch off the main stream of the river for dozens of miles. But in the end, they weren't able to find her body. But that's just them not being able to find the body. She's still dead, right? Isn't it different from her being demoned away? We cannot say someone is dead without their body. Until a certain number of years pass, by law, she's still treated as alive. I'm not sure if it was right to call that being demoned away. The wife is missing. At least that part was reality. How about the 3rd year? The Shinto priest died of illness, and his wife committed suicide? Maibata-san, that's actually the exact same scenario. The wife had supposedly thrown herself into the bottomless marsh deep in the forest around Hinamizawa. Oh, still talking. Oishi is the eye candy of the Okinomiya Police Department? No! No! I refuse. I mean, I've never seen any of the other policemen from the Okinomiya Police, but Oishi can't be the eye candy. I refuse. The wife had supposedly thrown herself into the bottomless marsh deep in the forest around Hinamizawa, meaning it's all circumstantial evidence. They simply found her suicide note in front of the marsh. A diver was able to recover a few remnants, but they weren't able to find a body. The investigative headquarters believed that she had faked her death and was still alive somewhere. I'm not sure if we could call those cases as being demoned away. It's just as you've said. Every year one person goes missing. Don't play coy, you know it's true. I refuse! I refuse! There are so many more handsome men in the Higurashi than Detective Kurado Oishi. The incident this year, the woman with Tomitake-san has gone missing. Then what about the incident with the housewife beaten to death? Who went missing? I believe the perpetrator was caught, right? Yeah, we arrested him. He was just a miscreant with a record of narcotics abuse. He admitted to the crime while being questioned about a different incident. But, well, you see, after he was arrested, a child from the victim's home went missing. It's still under investigation as to whether the disappearance had anything to do with the crime. But you said you caught him, right? Did he have an accomplice? No idea. It's considered a separate case. Moreover, we can't even check now, because while under investigation, that man, he died in his holding cell. He swallowed a spork and choked to death? it's not known whether it was an accident or a suicide. I don't know if anyone ever swallows a spork on accident. Meaning, for the last 5 years, there's always one person who dies and one who goes missing? That's about right. No, actually, I'm surprised as well. I never realized they had that in common. Lies and slander. Oishi has been crowned sexiest man in Hinamizawa for 10 years straight. Proof, please. I demand receipts. I couldn't believe that this could help lead to the closing of those incidents. It was just something they had in common. Could it be that those demoned away have something in common? Oishi-san mumbled as he seemed to be thinking about it. So I summarized the events. The first year was the dam employee. Second year was the wife of a dam project supporter. Third year was the wife of the Shinto priest. Fourth year was the victim's family's child. And the fifth year was the victim's girlfriend, I guess. It doesn't seem like there's anything that connects them. With the exception of the first year, wives and girlfriends, those do stand out. It does seem like there are a lot. Then that means the fourth year's victim's child was different. It would have really stood out if it were all married couples, except it's not just married couples, but parents and children as well. Come to think of it, I believe Tomitake-san also told me the younger brother is alive and has moved, if I recall correctly. The child that went missing in the fourth year, who were they? Apparently he was quite mature, 1 year older than you. His name was Satoshi Hojo-san. Huh? Satoshi? I remembered that name. Didn't they tell me Satoshi transferred out last year? He was at your school up until last year. My receipts, Oishi sexy. Okay, valid. I will concede. I won't agree with you, but I'll concede. Didn't they tell you anything about him? Come to think of it, when I transferred in, I believe they said my seat belonged to a recent transfer student. Then, where I sat, once belonged to the one who was demoned away. It was his seat? I recalled the cold sensation that came from that desk. It made my hair stand on end. This string of mysterious deaths. No, Oyashiro-sama's curse. I now knew how it connected to me. That chilling sensation. It was the feeling of Oyashiro-sama caressing the back of my neck. Oyashiro-sama's curse, huh? Could Oyashiro-sama's curse really exist? In all honesty, I was beginning to believe it. And I was scared. That was why I wanted to say it was a plot crafted by man and not the work of a curse. But the more I dug into it, the less likely that seemed. No, the more I dug, the more mysterious it became. If I kept digging, eventually, I'd reach the point where I'd learn something I really shouldn't know. To either be none the wiser or to seek an answer I may regret. Which one would I be happier with? Maybe it'll be me next time. My execution could only be delayed for 1 year. That was when I remembered. Rena. Rena says she may be the next victim of the curse. You mean Rena Ryugu-san? She transferred in last year and she's your classmate, isn't she? These incidents really might be a bit too disturbing for a girl. She's not just scared, is she? It wasn't that. She said it might be her next. She said it in a way that made me think she had a concrete reason behind it. It felt like she was convinced. Almost as if, you could say, she was frightened. Her sudden change in demeanor. That someone who looked like Rena but wasn't Rena. That might be unrelated. All the strange things that I felt from Rena today came back to me. I see. Then I'll be doing a bit of investigating on this end. Please continue your observations of Ryugu-san, Mayabara-san. Are you asking me to keep Rena under surveillance? That's not what I mean, Mayabara-san. I just want you to watch out for your friend so she doesn't end up the next victim. At that moment, just as my mouth was agape because I was so impressed with his mature, clever way with words. Knock, knock! Oh, Ida, hi, nice to see you. Nice voice acting. Oh, thank you. A sudden knock at the door sent my heart racing. In an instant, I had pointlessly covered up the end of the receiver. Keiichi, get the door, please. Oh, it's the father. The father's showing up. Keiichi, get the door, please. On the other side of the door, I heard my father's oddly upbeat voice. What could it be? It's so late. Sorry, my dad just came in. Can we leave it at this for tonight? Yeah, my apologies again for calling so late. If you find out anything else, please let me know. I'll tell you if I make any progress on this end. Well then, have a pleasant evening. Keiichi, hurry and open up. Daddy's got his hands full. What is Dad doing? I had stayed in the same position while on the phone the whole time, so my joints were aching. When I opened the door, I saw my father was standing there with a tray. On that tray, cookies and 2 cups of black tea, a fairly fancy spread for our household. There was even sugar and lemon slices on the side, everything you could ask for. This was quite the show of hospitality. What's going on, Dad? What's all this for? Come now, don't play around, Keiichi. I'm coming in. Dad was in high spirits and had a smirk on his face. But for my entire life, I'd never seen him act this hospitable. What had gotten into him? So, what were you talking about? I jumped. It's not something I had to keep from my father. But how could I explain to him I was talking to a detective, I'm assuming he was, this late at night? Nothing much. Just a friend. I don't mean the phone. She was here, wasn't she? Rena-chan. Huh? She wasn't here. Come now, don't try to keep it from me. She just came over to play. You two were chatting away, so I thought I'd bring some tea, but it looks like I just missed her. I had no idea what Dad was talking about, but a cold sweat dripped down my back. How long were we talking? Rena-chan went upstairs about half after, so I guess it was close to an hour, I guess? You saw her come up to the 2nd floor? Yeah, I did. I also told her that your room was the door down the hall up the stairs. Rena came to my house about an hour ago. Dad met her at the door and called out to me on the 2nd floor. I probably didn't hear him because I was so focused on my conversation with Oishi-san. I didn't reply, but he knew I was in my room, so he had her come inside. Then told her my room was on the 2nd floor. She thanked my dad and went upstairs. And about an hour passed. She passed by my dad just as he was bringing up tea and left. She came upstairs and about an hour passed. Then passed by my dad and returned home. Then, after she came upstairs, and until she left, where was Rena? There's only a short hallway between my room and the stairs. Meaning, Rena had, for about an hour, in the hall. No, she couldn't have been standing in front of my door all that time. The door to my room wasn't particularly thick. You could easily hear everything being said inside. All of the ominous things and all of the nonsense I spoke to Oishi-san about began rushing through my head. Honey, don't tease him! More importantly, you need to clean up your studio. It's a mess again! Mom yelled up at Dad from downstairs. Dad left the tray with me and went downstairs with a disappointed chortle. I followed my dad out of the room with my eyes. I looked down at the floor around the doorway where Rena might have stood all that time. Just now, as I was talking to Oishi-san, with my back turned, Rena was standing a mere 6 feet away. The whole time? All that time, in this dimly lit doorway? What did she see? What did she hear? For what reason? As the steam from the 2 teacups ominously wafted and twisted, the aroma of black tea filled my room. Boy, it's spooky. Water time. The suspense is killing me! More water. I have a lot of water to drink. Oh boy. Okay. Let's save, shall we? All right. Let's continue. Weariness and a headache. Not a very nice way to start the day. What's wrong? Keiichi, you don't look so well. When did you go to sleep? It seemed that my mom had noticed my sullen state. Yesterday, I kept on waking up in the middle of the night. Without a doubt, I felt a presence. I felt the presence of someone standing in front of my door. I told myself repeatedly that it was just my imagination and forced myself to try and sleep. Except, not being able to stand it, I gathered up my courage and opened the door. Of course there wasn't anyone there. I think I did this 3 times throughout the night. Or maybe I just didn't remember doing it any more than that. Even though I was able to get to the breakfast table without incident, I still didn't feel at ease. It might be a cold. I don't really have an appetite. My, you do seem a little warm. Well, can you make it to school? Technically, I did go to a school, but it was mostly self-study. It wouldn't matter much if I missed a day, would it? It could have been that I hadn't been feeling well for the last few days because I really did have a cold. If I took some medicine and got a good day of rest, I might be able to greet everyone with a smile tomorrow. Aw, Keiji. Who's here? Startled, I looked back and forth between the entrance and the clock. It was 10 minutes later than when I usually met up with Rena. It was Rena. Rena-chan came to get you. What are you going to do? Are you going to take the day off? Rena was a good girl. She might be somewhat quirky, but she was certainly cute. The lunches she made were delicious, and she always looked out for me. Why should I be so scared of something like that? It wasn't Rena's fault. It was probably mine. It had to have been my cold. It just had to be. I'll rest. Sorry. Then I'll go send her off for you. Mom headed off to the door. I would have to pass by the entrance to get back to my room. I didn't have the nerve to meet with Rena. So I wrapped myself in a blanket on the sofa and closed my eyes. I was so sleep deprived, I quickly fell into a deep slumber. Keiichi, Rena, my sad babies. I'd only intended to lie down for a bit, but it was almost noon when I woke up. I called out to my parents, but they didn't seem to be around. On the table, I found lunch prepared and a note. Mom and Dad had apparently driven off to somewhere far away. It likely had to do with Dad's work. This happened every so often, so it wasn't that unusual. They would probably be back sometime after dinner. On the note, it said, "The insurance card is in the cabinet. Take it and go to the hospital." There was also a well-drawn map to the hospital. That's right. I hadn't been there before, so I didn't know exactly where it was. I had a light lunch, although it really was just leftovers from the morning, and just in case went to the hospital. Oh, are we gonna meet certain somebody? Maybe. Ah, geez, jump scared by a bird. Love it. Normally I'd never be here in the middle of a weekday. Just walking around like this had me feeling guilty. It was an odd feeling. Following my mom's map, I took a road I usually never used. After walking for a bit, the hospital sign came into view. EDA Clinic was written rather stylishly on the sign. The clinic wasn't very big, but based on the scale of the rest of Hinamizawa, it was far too grand. There was a parking lot and even a reserved spot for buses. They must be making a mint. Good for them. I spaced out in the air-conditioned waiting room until it was my turn to be seen. Maibata-san, please make your way to the examination room. After properly answering all of the chatty doctor's questions, he responded with the old, "It's probably a cold." They gave me a shot and 3 days worth of medicine. I thought it was a little overboard, but if it would clear away the gloomy feeling I'd been having lately, then it was worth it. Pretty music, right? I love the soundtrack in this game. I settled the bill and took a quick trip to the washroom. As I was leaving, I overheard a conversation between some elderly people who seemed to be regulars at the clinic. Of course, I have no intention of eavesdropping, if it just wasn't for that word. Must have been an Onikakshi. I wonder, she was still pretty young, might have just eloped. With whom? That man from Tokyo who visits every season. That young one with the big camera. Didn't you know they were getting along pretty well? Were they talking about Tomitake-san? I could feel my ears perking up. I don't know about that, but you have to make preparations before you elope. Leave a note or quit the job or something. It's an elopement because they didn't leave a note or message. The thought that I'll never see that young nurse's face again makes me rather sad. Takano-san is an upstanding young woman. She'll be fine wherever she goes. So her name was Takano-san? That woman with Tomitake-san. And she worked at this clinic? Oyashiro-sama's shadow was following me everywhere I went. I started listening more closely, but they began talking about fishing, and it didn't seem like they were going to revisit the topic. I gave up and left. Thus, even though I was separated from the daily monotony of school, I wasn't able to escape from Oyashiro-sama's shadow. But of course, Oyashiro-sama was the guardian deity of this place, of Hinamizawa. As long as I was in Hinamizawa, I wouldn't be able to escape. Maybe it was because I was walking outside, but my appetite had suddenly returned. Might as well buy a snack with the change from the examination fee on the way home. Contemplating that, I turned onto a familiar street. Where are we going? At that moment, I heard a car horn abruptly honk behind me. Was I really walking so far in the middle of the road where I'd be in a car's way? I moved further off to the side, but the horn was still honking at me. I turned around, peeved. Oh, look who it is! My Bada-san, good day to you! It was Oishi-san. He stepped out of his car, AC on full blast, and waved at me. What's up today? School on break? Just not feeling well, so I took the day off. I was about to buy lunch and head back home. That's great. I'm just about to get lunch myself. Would you mind going together? If you're not feeling up for it, then don't mind me. Love opening things on accident. I was just going to lie down after going home anyway, and I didn't really have a cold. I doubt you'd want to eat at one of those local places. Let's go into town. It's a bit of a drive, is that all right? I know a pretty good place. I'd finally begun to understand Oishi-san's roundabout way of saying things. He probably wanted to talk to me about stuff that would be difficult to discuss while in Hinamizawa. Lunch date with Mr. Oishi. For those at home who didn't know, Oishi is a Japanese word that means delicious. So in my head, Oishi-san is always just Mr. Delicious. I went with Oishi-san, riding in his frigid car. It was almost as if the bright sunlight outside was a lie. I'm sorry about calling you so late last night. Did your parents get angry at you? No. I recalled Rena, who had been listening to the phone conversation all that time, separated from me by just the door. Hi, Jada. Nice to see you. I mix this up every time. I get so tongue-tied. But hello, it's nice to see you again. Even now, in the brightness of the sunlight, the thought still creeped me out. Whoa. With a big bump that jolted the car, the road connecting to the city changed from dirt to pavement. My head swiveled back with a sudden realization. That's right. This was where Tomitake-san died. They've hit a snag on the investigation regarding Tomitake-san. Oishi-san spoke while peering at me from the corner of his eye. They believed it was caused by hallucinogens, given how he was clawing out his own throat. But a drug that could cause that to happen so suddenly is extremely hard to come by. Bear in mind, of course, the autopsy was done with that premise in mind, but we didn't find any leads. You know that thing you see in comics all the time? Where there's a drug that if you put it in them, it doesn't leave any traces? It exists. Nope, not even gonna try. Well, it's pretty common. But you see, there doesn't seem to be any kind of drug that would cause Tomitake-san to react like that. Then, you're saying the police concluded Tomitake-san just died from the curse? I couldn't help but feel that the police were worthless. I just wanted the idea of a curse to be dissociated from Tomitake-san's mysterious death. Unfortunately, that's how it looks right now. Putting aside the cause of death, without a doubt, he was surrounded by a group of people and had taken a beating before he died. That was no curse, but an incident that unquestionably involved other humans. That made me a bit relieved. We passed in front of a rather desolate, but still busier than Hinamizawa train station. The car pulled into a restaurant parking lot, and I followed Oishi-san into the shop. Ah, yeah! Angel Mort! Okay. It was pretty crowded, but there were only adults at this hour. Of course there wouldn't be children in here in the middle of a weekday. 2, please, non-smoking.
This way, please. When you are ready to order, please call me over.
We were led by a peculiarly dressed waitress to our table. I sat with Oishi-san in the booth. So what do you think? Aren't the waitresses' outfits here cute? Huh? Well, I guess? This shop is always quite busy. It's more about the waitresses than the food, you see. Uh-huh. Oishi-san, you're leering. Welcome to Hooters. Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Am I really? Oh my god. Regardless of how these waitresses looked, the food was decent enough. Finishing our meals while talking about some inane topic, Oishi-san's after-meal cup of coffee arrived at the table. Yesterday we talked about Hinamizawa's past, didn't we? Yeah, that it was the village of man-eating demons, or something like that. Oishi, why are you taking this boy to Hooters to get info from him? Yeah, yeah, Oishi. Maybe him being distracted will make him talk. Not sure. I didn't know much about it myself, so I asked my grandmother? I asked my grandmother about it this morning. Oishi-san took out the notepad that was stuffed into his breast pocket. Turns out the Hinamizawa used to be called Onigafuchi, or Ogre's Abyss. Onigafuchi. That's quite the name. The name is still around. The marsh where the Shinto priest's wife drowned herself is still called Ogre's Abyss. It's said that the depths of that marsh connect to the realm of demons. Of course, nobody had told me anything about such an ominous marsh. And you see, it appears that they were both feared and revered. A respect born of fear. I guess you could say it was kind of a deification. A village of inhuman creatures. Seems the demons were sennin, or mountain-dwelling mystics of sorts. Taking villagers with incurable illnesses into the Ogre's Abyss and healing them, for example. Even if we're calling them demons, Tengu, long-nosed demons, or sennin would be a more apt description. They don't seem like such terrible people, even though they were called demons, but they were still man-eating demons. According to the story my grandma told me, as payment for treating the son's illness, "Let us eat the mother who brought him here," was apparently how things went. The price of curing her son was herself? That's unsettling. Of course the mother took her son and ran. Then, you see, all the people who lived in Onigafuchi. The demons chased them down, rounded them up, and captured them. The entire village, apparently. That's quite a frightening thing to imagine. In the end, it seems both the mother and son were caught and eaten. The end. There's a problem with this story. Both witnesses in this story were eaten, so nobody would be able to tell the tale. Huh? There are plenty of old fables like this. In contrast to the ghastly tale, Oishi-san laughed heartily while sipping his coffee. But, well, there are quite a few other tales, where the demons from Onigafuchi band together to capture their prey. I recalled that Mion said all the villagers united and fought against the dam construction. I saw similarities with how that part about unification overlapped. Normally they hunted down a single person, and they chose who it was going to be beforehand. Huh? That caught my attention. Oishi-san also appeared to be pondering what it meant. My grandmother told me that you must never interfere with the demon's hunt. You should just hole up in your house and hide under the covers, she said. So what does this all mean? It means you mustn't ever help or protect the prey. As long as you don't disturb the demon's hunt, no harm will fall upon the villagers. It seems there's that kind of rule. Basically, don't help the victims. Pretend you didn't see the atrocities, in other words. What happens if you break the rule? Well, they're man-eating demons after all. Many parts of that tale caught my attention. Parts of the story he told me overlapped with his theory that the perpetrators were all the village families. Even if it wasn't the whole village, it was conceivable that the villagers were hiding under the covers and leaving them to die when there's a group that was on their hunt, wasn't it? I didn't dare speak it. Then, Oishi-san, I guess it looks like it's either the village families or a group of villagers perpetrating the crimes? What do you think, Maebara-san? Excuse me. Another cup of coffee, please. That's what I wanted to know. It seemed that we were both waiting for the other to say the last part. Water break. You wouldn't think that talking would hurt my throat so much because I'm such a dang blabbermouth. I talk nonstop, but here we are. I waited for the waitress to finish pouring coffee before speaking. Last year, I had a nagging feeling when Satoshi-kun disappeared. Oishi-san muttered as he watched the milk swirl around in his coffee. So those friends of Satoshi-san, meaning your group of friends, Maebara-san, I had a bit, really just a little bit, okay, of background checking done on them. If Oishi-san had said this to me before, I would have been furious, since he told me earlier not to suspect my friends. But as I was now, I couldn't... This might sound pretty stupid. Maebara-san, if you feel that it's stupid, please say so. Oh man. I'll just stop. Oishi-san was wearing the most serious expression that I'd ever seen from him. It was as if he was telling me to prepare myself and listen. There were quite a few things I regretted hearing from Oishi-san. But none of them were as threatening as this. A little voice inside me was screaming like an alarm. Stop, Keiichi. This was probably the last one. I took a deep breath and silenced that voice. I would not run from the truth. Please. That was all I could utter. Oishi-san stared into my eyes silently for a few moments. After he was certain I was ready, he began. The victim in the incident in the first year was the overseer. A few weeks prior, he had an altercation with Mion Sonozaki-san. Multiple altercations. Oishi-san had said before that Mion had defied the dam project vehemently. Well, it wasn't hard to imagine how she'd be if she got worked up. In the second year, the married couple who supported the project died in that accident, right? They had a daughter. Her name is Satoko Hojo-san. Huh? Satoko meaning... Satoko? Oishi-san's look told me that my voice was too loud. I realized it as well and quickly quieted down. The Shinto priest and his wife who died in the third year. You see, their daughter is Rika Furude-san. Rika-chan was... The housewife who died in the fourth year you already know, didn't you? It was the step-aunt of Satoko Hojo-san. She was in her aunt and uncle's custody, as she had lost both of her parents in the accident. She lived in the victim's house. I could tell my lips were getting dry. I didn't even have the wits to keep my mouth from hanging agape. I thought it was nothing but a bizarre incident, one that I could easily distance myself from. But clicking and clacking, it had snuck all the way to my feet. The one who disappeared the 4th year, by the way, he was Satoko-san's older brother. What? Wait, just a second. It took everything I had to finally say that. I gulped down a glass of water and once again wiped my face with a napkin. Time to drink water. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. But Oishi-san was relentless. Instead of waiting for me to finish sorting out my feelings, he started speaking again. The last of the things I shouldn't have heard. All of the victims seem to be connected to your group of friends. That has to be just a coincidence. Maebara-san, keep it down. Everyone's looking. Miona? Satoko? Rika-chan? So what if they're connected? You're telling me all of my friends... It couldn't be. It just couldn't be. Oh, Rena is different, isn't she? Rena isn't connected with the victims at all. Rena Ryugu-san was living in a suburb of Ibaraki Prefecture up until last year. Well, it's true she hadn't directly met any of the victims. He said it in a roundabout way. Is he saying she's also connected? Actually, I looked into her. Before Ryugu-san moved away to Hinamizawa, she was suspended from school. It seems she went through her school building and broke all of the windows. Rena did that? She broke all the windows at her school? That same silly Rena had... I couldn't even imagine it. It seems that after her 3-day suspension, she didn't return to school. She went to a neurologist and was diagnosed with dysautonomia. Oh boy. She was given weeks of counseling and medication. I wonder if it was something like a nervous breakdown. I heard that it happens to people who are really methodical or overly sensitive. Neither of those matched Rena's easygoing personality. And in the counselor's medical report, he recorded all of the conversations he had with Rena-san. It shows up. And quite a bit at that. What did? I pressed forward carelessly. There couldn't be anything more for me to regret. She mentioned the word Oyashiro-sama. It felt like someone's stone-cold hand was caressing my back. Why? Why had Rena spoken of Oyashiro-sama before she even came to Hinamizawa? Seems that the Oyashiro-sama she spoke of was like a ghost appearing in her house every night, standing over her pillow, looking down at her. My mind froze. I couldn't process what I was being told. A while after that, she moved to Hinamizawa. Ah, that's right. She's not an outsider. Huh? According to the residency register, the Ryugu family used to reside in Hinamizawa. Rena-san moved to Ibaraki right after she finished elementary school. My mind went completely blank. It was similar to the static you'd see on a blank TV channel. My ears began ringing as I lost all sense of comprehension. Maebara-san, are you all right? Shall we stop? Those words brought me back. I couldn't let it end here. Now I understand Rena. Then, how about the last victim? Tomitake-san. Who was he connected with? Irritated, I let out one final reprisal. All of them. Have you forgotten Maebara-san? Didn't you all spend the night of the festival together quite merrily? Quite a few of the officers saw you enjoying yourselves. Now there was nothing I could respond with. I fell silent as my brain turned to mush. We should get going. Maebara-san, did you take your afternoon medicine? I'd completely forgotten about the medicine I'd gotten today until Oishi-san said that. I got another glass of water, and we left the shop after I chugged it down. More water! One bottle down. We got in the car and returned to Hinamizawa via the rough road. I never really paid attention when I was on my bike, but did cars normally shake this much? It was almost as if the road was desperately trying to tell me something. Badump. That big jolt was from the difference in the elevation of the road when it changed from cement to dirt. I was certain that I heard Tomitake-san scream. I sat in silence, just letting myself be shaken by the car. I'll drop you off at your house. You missed school because you were ill, correct? My apologies for the long conversation. Why did you talk to me? I blurted out the question. Really just blurted it out. I didn't expect an answer. I did check with you first, didn't I? If we should just stop. Not that. Why did you reach out to me? I understood quite well that Oishi-san was investigating this string of suspicious incidents. But why was he telling me all this? I knew nothing and I couldn't help. Everything Oishi-san spoke of was news to me. First of all, what could I, having just moved here, know? By chance, if there was a reason for Oishi-san to reach out to me, then it would have to be that I looked suspicious to Oishi-san, as I was part of Mion's circle of friends. I'm retiring this year. I plan on moving away after retiring, as my grandma wants. So while I'm still on the case, I want to bring the truth behind this incident to light. So, Oishi-san, you suspect them, don't you? All of them. Oishi-san didn't really give a response. It felt a little late, but I thought it was his way of showing a bit of consideration for my feelings. This is mostly my intuition from 30 years on this job. Maebara-san, you're the one in danger. Huh? I wanted to reply with, that was absurd, but in my downtrodden state, I couldn't bring myself to say it. I'll be retiring this year, so I won't be at the Watanagashi next year. So I want to settle things. In other words, he was insinuating that on the next Watanagashi, I might be the victim. I've been warned by the chief as well. Each incident in the string of cases has been solved, so don't bring it up again. Or so I was told. This is the pressure that I'm facing. Pressure from what? Someone in Hinamizawa. We've arrived. Is this fine? After some time, the car finally reached the path to my house. The clock read 2 p.m. I was surprised a little time had passed since we ate. It was hot outside the car. The chirping of the higurashi hurt my ears. I won't mind if you just forgot everything I told you today, but I'm still going to keep investigating. I'll end Oyashiro-sama's curse this year. So you're saying I should contact you if anything happens? It's fine. Just contact me when you feel you have to, Maebara-san. I wasn't collected enough to understand Oishi-san's roundabout way of saying it. Be sure to take it easy. I'm sorry for throwing all this at you while you're taking the day off because you're sick. I didn't really give any sort of response. I'll always be on your side. If anything, believe that. I'll be off now. Bye, Oishi-san. More water. Gah. Okay. Oh, wait. Hold on. Log. The tires crunched over the dirt road as the car made a U-turn and disappeared into a cloud of kicked-up dust. It felt like I was watching a boat, only throw me a lifesaver in shark-infested waters before disappearing into the distance. That was the first time I thought Oishi-san was being unfair. Telling me I was going to be the next victim, then just saying to contact him if something happened. This wasn't a criminal investigation. He was fishing, and I was just the bait dangling off the line. Would the fish be the perpetrator? Or was it really just Oyashiro-sama's curse? Either way, the bait would be swallowed whole. Damn it. I don't want to die. For some time, I could do nothing but stare at the puddle of water left behind by the AC from the car. Aw, Keiji! My boy, he's so scared. Man, I feel so bad. Like, I feel so bad for him, and I feel bad for... This whole situation sucks. One more water sip. Okay. I wonder how much time had passed since I laid down. It was getting dark outside. My body was soaked in sweat. It would probably be a good idea to change my sheets. At that moment, the phone downstairs rang. It was probably Mom. Mom was quite the worrywart. Maybe she had called many times, but I just didn't notice it. Hello, this is the Maibata residence. Oh, he's alive! Hello! This is Mion! How you doing? Is this one of Keiichi's friends? Keiichi is resting now, but shall I put him on? Huh? Is this his dad? Sorry. Idiot, you fell for it. Huh? Kei-chan! After our exchange, we both had a good laugh together. Except I was suspicious of her, even as we were laughing. Was everybody really involved in the incidents? The fact that I couldn't say no saddened me. I'm relieved that you seem well. Rina was really worried, you know? Satoko-chan was happy and said you got what you deserved. Rika-chan said, how unfortunate she's sick! Looks like everyone was making a big deal out of it. Well, you know. So, Kei-chan, is now a bad time to come pay you a visit? A visit? No, it's okay. It's not like I'm dying. My grandma made a ton of mochi, you see. I was told to share them, so I'll bring you some. Hey now, you'll catch my cold. Not to worry. Both Rena and I are too stupid to catch a cold. See you. Be there in a bit. She hung up cheerfully. Rena's coming too? That's what it sounded like. I was still concerned about meeting Rena, but I guess if she was with Mion... Ding dong! The girls have arrived. I heard the doorbell 10 minutes later. How you feeling? Did you take your medicine and rest? I did just that.
Thank goodness you look well. I was worried.
Sorry, I'll be fine by tomorrow. Mion showed a complete lack of concern for someone who's recovering, and Rena looked like she was worried about me from the bottom of her heart. It didn't look like there was anything behind those expressions. I thought we might hang out for a bit, but it looks like you're not quite in the condition for it. You don't say. You see, my face appeared a bit sullen.
Then here, Keiichi-kun, these are the mochi Michan's grandma made.
Rena held out the package wrapped in newspaper. There might be about 5 in here. It was quite hefty. Thanks. Send my regards to your grandma, Mion.
Yep. There's one that I made in there as well. I wonder if Keiichi-kun can guess which one.
This is Kei-chan's homework since he missed the club meeting today. There are letters on each mochi, so I'll ask you tomorrow. What, were you checking to see if I was feeling better, or did you just come here for club activities? Yep, looking fine. I guess you'll be able to make it tomorrow. Man, what are you going to do if my fever comes back because of your shenanigans?
Michan, we shouldn't be making such a racket. Let's go. The other people here will get angry.
Both of them thought my parents were home. It was because the entranceway was a mess. You're right, let's get going. By the way, Kei-chan. Yeah? What did you eat for lunch? The sudden question startled me, and I went wide-eyed when I saw Mion. I had never seen her like that. It was a highly unsettling visage. But why is she asking me about what I ate for lunch? What she said was so inane, it was almost meaningless. The way she said it, it was almost like she didn't even care at all about what I ate. I ate out. She must have suspected that I was with Oishi-san. Anyway, I felt that if I hesitated or tried to change the subject when they'd read too deep into it, so I tried answering as quickly as possible. Except, contrary to the efforts I had made, there was a pause before they replied.
So you ate out for lunch, Keiichi-kun?
The glimmer from Rena's eyes had changed at some point as well. It was now sharp, as if to make me feel the feigned ignorance behind her words even more. As if she already knew. That's how it looked to me. Well, was it good? Why are you asking me this? Mion was speaking in an unusually low tone, almost as if she knew that I had eaten at the restaurant in town. No, I'm overthinking this. I mean, both of them should have been in school at lunchtime. There was no way they could have known where I was. Seems you were with a rather austere-looking older guy. Who was he? Flop. The package with the mochi I was holding slipped out of my hands. I could tell that the blood had drained from my face, making me go pale.
Oh? Keiichi-kun, who was he? Could it be the person from before, I wonder? I
could feel the back of my throat going dry. This was no longer a bluff. They knew everything. How do you know that? It took everything I had to finally force those words from my throat. My knees were shaking. Because there's nothing this old man doesn't know. Mion sneered knowingly, and her laugh seemed to carry on forever. So, Kei-chan, what did you talk about? It seems like you got pretty worked up over it, too. We weren't talking about you guys. It didn't have anything to do with you or Rena.
Isn't it a bit strange to hear our names come up even though nobody asked about that?
Rena's unwavering gaze pierced through my eyes and peered further inside me. I dug my own grave. My heart was throbbing so much it felt like it was going to explode. Well, whatever you're trying to hide, this old man already sees through it all. Remember that. I couldn't even shake my head. It took everything I had to stop my teeth from chattering. She never let her gaze break from mine, even as she tilted her head slightly.
Keiichi-kun, you don't look so good. I think you should lie down.
That's true. We should both head back home. As if nothing had happened, they both giggled at each other and started making their way out. I hadn't moved a muscle since I had dropped the package of mochi. As they left, the door slowly closed behind them. All I could do was stare, as if I couldn't move until the door was completely closed. Just as the door was about closed, it opened again slightly with a sudden crack, sending my heart racing once again. A single eye peered in through that narrow slit, and Mion's hawkish gaze peered at me once again. See you, Kei-chan. Yeah. I'd hate it if you missed school tomorrow, all right? Thud. The door closed. I wasn't able to move a muscle even after their low laughter died off in the distance and silence once again enveloped the room. Coming back to my senses, the first thing I did was lock the door. They knew what Oishi-san and I had talked about. Why? How? No, that wasn't important. Thinking about it now, all of it could have been overheard. From the beginning, when Oishi-san met me, just as Mion said, I couldn't hide anything. Then, what were they trying to tell me? That part was obvious. They were warning me not to say anything unnecessary. What did they deem unnecessary? I only talked with Oishi-san about one thing, and they were warning me that that was unnecessary. What was it that Oishi-san talked to me about? The incidents involving Oyashiro-sama's curse that occurred every year weren't individual cases, but that were connected as a whole. As well as the fact that there may be multiple perpetrators hidden within Hinamizawa. No, more precisely, that Mion, Rena, Satoko, and Rika-chan were all suspicious. Is that what they were warning me against? What kind of nonsense am I thinking about? I hit my own face hard enough that it let out a loud slap. If only that would wake me from this nightmare. But for some reason it felt like I was punching a blanket. It was almost laughably painless. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. When did I become such a pessimist? Calm down. Calm down. Settle down and sort things out. The reason Mion knew I was eating lunch with Oishi-san was probably because somebody from Hinamizawa just happened to be there at the time. They must have told Mion that I was there. That made the most sense. Plus, come to think of it, she didn't ask me where I ate lunch, did she? She only asked, was it good? They were just curious since I was together with someone not from Hinamizawa. It's not as if they had any ulterior motives. That's it. That has to be it. More water. Thinking about it that way, it was the same with Rena. I was just being strangely ambiguous about when I met with Oishi-san, and Rena was just correcting me on that. That's when I was bewildered by the change in character from the usual mild-mannered Rena, and was just startled by it. That's the most natural way of thinking about it. It felt like my mind was mixed up like a tangled mess of spaghetti. Deep red marinara sauce would have poured out of my nose and ears if you squeezed my head. Ew, Keiichi! Thinking that, I suddenly felt like vomiting. I really didn't want that to happen, so I stopped holding my head. Lately, I had no idea what anyone was saying. Spending time with them was fun. It didn't feel like there was any sort of hidden agenda. I really do think that they're a good bunch of people. When I just moved here and couldn't make heads or tails of everything, they were really kind to me. Rena was really kind and always looked after me. As long as that strange affliction didn't rear its ugly head, she was really pretty cute. Mion was also a really good person. She didn't care about anyone's age or gender and was optimistic and outgoing. I was never bored when I was with her. And talking of not getting bored, Rambunctious Satoko was a good person for that too. Ryukishi 07 and his weird food metaphors. Yeah, that was the weirdest. That was the weirdest food metaphor I've seen in a while. The marinara sauce. My face is a mess of spaghetti. Marinara is coursing through my veins. I love Eminem. She was pretty bratty, but that was just the way she interacted with others. Rika-chan was the same way. Ah! I did it again! She didn't speak often, but that didn't mean she was always silent. They were my friends. But after hearing of the better untold secrets of Hinamizawa from Oishi-san and Tomitake-san, when I was told about Oyashiro-sama's curse, things started going crazy. Then hearing from Oishi-san that Mion, Rena, Satoko, and Rika-chan were all suspicious. After that, everyone changed. That's right. It all started getting weird after Oishi-san told me all that strange stuff. At that time, I really should have just not listened to those weird stories. And I even shouldn't have heard about the past incidents from Tomitake-san the night of the Watanagashi. If I just hadn't gotten that strange sense of curiosity. If I just hadn't. That's right. So that's why Tomitake-san, that impudent outsider speaking to the likes of me after everybody went out of their way to keep it a secret from me. They'll probably Oishi-san as well, for trying to unearth what everybody was warning me was better left buried. Besides that, he was unforgivable for spewing words that made me doubt the others. Of course a guy like that is going to be... Both Tomitake-san and Oishi-san were nothing but outsiders after all. They were entities who couldn't coexist with the people of Hinamizawa. Those guys should just fall to Oyashiro-sama's curse and just... It wasn't their fault. It was my fault for not being able to hold back my curiosity. It wasn't their fault. 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 I settled into a daze. It was a lethargic feeling, like I had just gotten up, but the ominous chill that haunted me had subsided. I was fine now. I was no longer frightened. I had completely recovered. I'll go to school tomorrow, right as rain. I'll greet everyone. I'll take part in club activities. It'll definitely be fun. It had to be fun. I was one of them, after all. That reminds me. I need to eat those mochi. I hope I'm able to tell which one Rena made. I remembered the homework the two brought with them when they visited me. But wow, our club did delivery. That was something else. I picked up the package I dropped on the floor and headed into the living room. It would be nice, I guess, to have some tea with it. To fill my mouth with mochi while drinking tea. Oh, this was quite a delectable situation I was in. Opening up the newspaper wrapping, there were 5 plump red bean paste mochi fit snugly inside. There were letters written from left to right on the newspaper. A, B, C, D, and E. Now then, they said Rena made one of these. I wonder which one. There wasn't much difference in how they looked. They smelled and appeared about the same. This was a pretty difficult problem. The biggest difference was probably their shape. I wasn't sure what kind of person Mion's grandma was, but Rena's had to be different from hers. Looking carefully, I could see one mochi that was made very neatly. So, well, that, just by staring at it, one could tell it stood out. Looks like this challenge depends on whether or not this one is Rena's. Calm down and think even harder. Mion had said her grandma made a ton of them and was told to give some out if I remembered correctly. So that meant 4 of these were from that large batch. Then what about Rena? She probably only made 1. So she probably spent quite a bit of time on it. Meaning, the one Rena made was this one. E! For a moment I thought it might have been a trap Mion laid out as she knew I'd pick up on it, but that probably wasn't the case. I wouldn't be so sure if I knew Mion had made it, but since she said Rena made it, it probably wasn't a trap. Alright, my tea is ready too. I'll start with the defending champ, Mion's grandma. Let's see. Not bad. The smooth bean paste and soft, chewy texture left little to be desired. Oh man, I want mochi so bad now. Strawberry daifuku is the bomb, dude. The tea I drank afterwards also accentuated the experience. This was an exquisite piece of work. Now, how about Rena's? The creation was so delicate, one would think it was a high-class Japanese dessert. Since I normally had quite the appetite, I was slightly worried about the size of the portion. But, well, first a bite. This was quite a difficult one to judge, actually. The ingredients were exactly the same, so there was little difference in flavor. What was different was how it was shaped at the end, so as to be expected. So the deciding factors would be presentation and volume. I went to an Asian supermarket today and I bought way too much mochi there. Oh man, I'm so jealous. Oh man. I want some daifuku so bad. The well-formed and well-sized champion versus Rena the challenger were the size you just couldn't get enough of. I only had 1 bite of Rena's. I probably have to wait until after I was done eating to make my decision. Maybe there was something hidden inside that could cause an upset. Chew, chew. It seems my prediction was right. My tongue touched something. It didn't feel like something edible, so I reached in with my fingers and grabbed it. What was this? Before I could fully comprehend what it was, I threw away the rest of the mochi I was eating as fast as I could. It slammed against the wall, causing the bean jam to splatter. Then after sticking for a moment, it slid down to the floor. I was dumbstruck by my own actions. What was I doing? Rena had gone out of her way to make it for me. How could I? Dumbstruck, I looked down at the hand that performed such a vile act. Then I remembered what I had taken out of my mouth. At first I thought it was a hair. Even though it was shorter than Mion's, Rena's hair was still quite long. And it wasn't this short. It was also a bit too hard to be hair. It was thick enough to roll around on my tongue. There was a bit of a metallic sheen on one end of it. Ah, yes. There was a hole for where thread goes through. Like it was a sewing needle. Yes, that's right. It looked very much like a sewing needle. Exactly like one. The end was pointed as well. Quite sharply. It really did look just like a sewing needle. Huh? What did I mean by looked very much like a sewing needle just a bit ago? I couldn't answer. But a voice inside me already knew, and let me know by chattering my molars together. I couldn't stave off the terror welling up inside me. Suddenly, I tasted something metallic and felt a prickling pain at the back of my throat. I stuck my finger in the back of my mouth and felt around to see if I was bleeding. Suddenly, I felt the urge to vomit. The sharp taste of bile irritated the back of my throat. I clasped both hands over my mouth, and after writhing in agony, I was somehow able to hold back the nausea. I was finally able to breathe normally again, but this time my heart was intensely throbbing. Then it finally registered. Exactly what was mixed in with the mochi. Before I could even think of the correct word, my hands were already on the move. Splat, plop, splort. I tossed the rest of the mochi against the wall. The geometrical patterns of the scattered bead jam on the wall suddenly invoked a terrible omen in my mind. After looking away, I dashed out to the hall and flew upstairs to my room, where I stayed under my covers until morning. I clutched my own shoulders, howling madly in a mix of fear, anger, sadness, and frustration. This wasn't a threat or a warning or reminder. Nothing as simple as that. What had happened in Hinamizawa? What is happening in Hinamizawa? What would happen? I didn't know the answer to any of those questions. Where did I break a taboo? Regardless, now Rena and Mion and others, they consider me an enemy. And they thought I should just die. I won't let you kill me. Not for such a pointless reason. I fell into a restless sleep as I was crushed by my negative emotions. It was as if I was being drawn into a billowing, bottomless marsh. Man, that sucks. Needle in the mochi. I'm actually surprised he didn't, like, bleed more. Okay, well, we did 2 chapters, and it's tips time, everybody. Let's save. View new tips. Wait, hold on. Let me view all tips, because I didn't read the ones from the last chapter. Okay. Let's see. Did that one, did that one, did that one. That one was weird. Okay, I guess it's all these 4 guys. All right, let's go. Hypovolemic shock induced by clawing out their own throat. Tissue is packed under the nails, not someone else's nails. Have I did this one before? This one might be from last time. Oh well. Not someone else's nails. It's undoubtedly by the individual's own nails. The shape of the scars also matches. Yeah, I know the immediate cause of death was suicide. I get it. You're saying the cause of death is unnatural, right? It's kind of like when your back itches and you scratch a little too hard and draw blood. Some of Tomitake's fingernails have been pulled out. It's actually quite simple to pull out one's own nails, but it really hurts. Under normal circumstances, the pain would prevent you from completely pulling them out. Also, there were a lot of bruises on Tomitake's body. It's clear from the shape of them that he was assaulted first by someone or a group of people. According to the toxicology report, the deceased was in an extreme state of hysteria right before death. Then he fought back and clawed out his own throat because of how hysterical he had become. The guys attacking him certainly would have been surprised by that. It is possible that, in such an abnormal environment, a person could perform acts that a sane individual couldn't possibly imagine. Of course, those are very rare cases. Actually, Oishi-kun, that wood plank the deceased used as a weapon, they only found sand and paint from the guardrail on it. What about cloth fibers or skin? Nothing. The deceased didn't strike the assailants, or it could be that they took the plank he was fighting back with. In that case, they wouldn't have gone out of their way to replace it with another. They'd take them all. Har, 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 har. That's true. Tomitake's pretty built and tanned. He was quite athletic. That's right. He was pretty active. Yeah, look at those arms. I can't imagine what kind of sports he did when he was alive, but I think his physical strength would be on the higher side, meaning he would be difficult to overpower in a brawl. If a man with such a physique sensed that he was in danger and swung the plank around quickly, it's just unthinkable that it wouldn't even nick the perpetrator. And his opponent was unarmed. This guy had a wooden plank, so you'd think he'd hit him at least once. Yeah, I definitely read this one last time. Apologies for people who who don't like seeing the the repeats. Tomitake was jacked. Yes, he was. To surround and take down someone of his physique. I wonder how many people it would take. He has an 8-pack. Yeah, dimwit. You should know better than anyone. Have you forgotten your bad cop days? If I was to take down this guy, how many would I need? When a group wants to take down big prey, it's fundamental to attack with numbers. I'd guess about 4. Even if there was a gap in their strength, they'd manage. Then there were quite a few perpetrators. So, any drunken disorderly groups of more than 4 suspicious? A group of 4 or more. Just, if they had that many, then couldn't they have hidden the body in a less obvious location? Or did he somehow break away from that fatal predicament? Then there would be no reason to commit suicide. Moreover, I still can't comprehend the irregular way he died. It's full of mysteries. Gotta get Jack to fight the birds. Okay, that's that's hilarious. Take pictures and then fight. That's under serious consideration on my end, too. I'll be examining it as thoroughly as possible, but don't get your hopes up. After all, we've never encountered a death like this before. I'm not hoping for much, but I am looking forward to the results. Oishi-san, the chief is calling you. Thanks, see you around. Yeah, best wishes. Okay, next one. Search notice. Ooh, what are we searching? Jiro Tomitake, deceased. Resided in a cheap hotel in Shishibone City. Registered under the name Jiro Tomitake. Pen name. Travels via folding bike. No license. The bicycle was found 300 meters away, abandoned at the side of a forest path. Present on the day of the festival, accompanied by the missing Mio Takano. Was seen around 9 p.m. by the police. Location afterwards unknown. Held residence in Hinamizawa for 1 week each season for the last 5 to 6 years. Freelance photographer specializing in wild birds. Check with magazine companies. I've read this one too. Dang it! Sorry, everybody. So I guess there's only 2 new tips. Nothing suspicious in the film located among the articles of the deceased. Wallet was among the articles of the deceased. Mere act of violence? From the contents of his wallet, he spent most of his time around Tokyo and Chiba. Along the Sobu National Railway line? No individual matching the name Jiro Tomitake in the residency records of any of the Tokyo wards. Compared teeth dental records. Send to Metro Police. Attach a photo. Send to Metro Police. Contacting magazines regarding Jiro Tomitake. Mio Takano. Missing. Nurse at EDA clinic. Became close to Tomitake through her passion for wild bird photography. Resides in Okinomiya X District XXX. Single. Yeah, we'll see about that. Witnessed accompanying Tomitake on the festival grounds. Currently missing. Abducted? Or maybe a suspect. An important person of interest. Had no motive to kill the deceased. Squabble from jealousy? Need to thoroughly investigate the relationship. Place of work, etc. Need to get information from the police on scene again. I want some cream puffs. 4 jumbo ones. Oishi. Sip of water before we read the new tips. Notice from the police chief. July 1st, 1982, which is, I believe, a year before this one takes place, before the game takes place. Departments 1 through 12, XX Prefectural Police Headquarters, Director General XXX to the Chief Constable and all facility managers. Regarding cases situated in Hinamizawa Village, notice. As cases in Shishibone City, Hinamizawa Village have been reported by certain sections of mass media, it has drawn global attention, which is causing serious repercussions for the local residents. This has become a very serious situation. To protect the livelihood and prosperity of the residents, the following notice has been issued. 1. Designate the following criminal investigations as classified. Okinomiya Station 1982, case number X. Hinamizawa Village housewife murder, dated June XX. Okinomiya Station 1982, case number X. Hinamizawa Village student disappearance, dated June XX. Non-disclosure of information. Okinomiya Station 1979, case number X. Hinamizawa Village site foreman murder, dated June XX. Shira Station 1980, case number X. Shira National Park falling incident, dated June XX. Okinomiya Station 1981, case number X. Hinamizawa Village Shinto priest's wife's disappearance, dated June XX, requesting self-restraint from each organization concerning the release of sensitive information. Please see attached reference materials 1, 2, and 3. Management XX Prefecture Police Headquarters. Internal line XXXX. Police Affairs Department XXXX. Alright, so basically keep your mouth shut. No problem, no problem. What's a drug that makes you commit suicide? Let's cut to the chase. Is there a drug that causes someone to kill themselves? Not directly, no. That's quite a roundabout response. You're saying that there's one that does it indirectly? Something that puts you into a suicidal mental state, like that? That's hard to say. What would a suicidal mental state be? Like a person with a serious bipolar disorder. It's believed that people are most likely to attempt suicide when swinging from depression to mania. Clinical depression and bipolar disorder are different. Clinical depression indicates a prolonged state of depression, whereas bipolar disorder is characterized by a passive depressed state accompanied by a very active manic state. Individuals with clinical depression suffer from low self-esteem and are quite pessimistic, but rarely commit suicide. They do not have the willpower to commit suicide. I wonder about that. Nor does mania on its own lead to suicide. That has an opposite effect, filling the person with confidence and making them feel as though they're walking on air. Yeah, mania is wild, dude. Thus, they do not commit suicide. That's interesting. Neither state causes suicide, but when the condition changes, they might do so? There is a desire to commit suicide when in a state of depression, but they do not have the willpower to commit such a formidable act. But when they enter mania, they gain a burst of willpower and their body moves as they desire. I see. So it means they gain the willpower to commit suicide. That's how it goes. That's why patients are given sedatives during that time to keep them from acting on their impulses. Then was Tomitake bipolar? People who suffer from bipolar disorder generally commit suicide by more civilized means, like, say, hanging or jumping off a building. Self-harm, as though going through withdrawal, is completely different. Tomitake's death wasn't civilized, so one would think it was caused by some foreign substance. As I said from the start, tell me a drug that causes someone to commit suicide. There are reports that methamphetamine overdoses conduce a condition that resembles bipolar disorder. It's a stimulant. Barbiturate overdoses are also reported to cause erratic behavior. That's a sleep aid. There were no signs of stimulants. Are there any other possibilities? All I can think of is that some sort of illness. Something like Graves' disease, which affects the thyroid and is known to cause symptoms that resemble bipolar disorder. But Graves' disease has many characteristic symptoms of its own. The deceased exhibited none of them. I wonder, is there something that could happen more spontaneously? Something that fits this case and would cause someone to want to commit suicide all of a sudden? Are you familiar with organic mental disorders? In short, it's a condition where the brain is out of whack due to physical injury or illness. It can be caused by drugs, but it also can be caused by physical trauma, encephalitis, a stroke, or even tumors. Basically, even without a drug, one could succumb to an irregular mental state. The deceased was surrounded after being chased, and his life was in danger, right? All that stress could have messed with his brain chemistry. He might have hit his head, and those factors combined might have caused him to mutilate himself. It's a possibility. Could you explain it to me in simpler terms? Basically, he knocked his noggin in the brawl, and it made him go haywire. Then his lady didn't have any intent to kill. Just smacked him in a bad place when he nicked some change. The two plump men laughed hoarsely. But of course it's not like that. Undoubtedly. If it was habitual drug use, if it was something mental, the deceased body holds the key. How are things on your end? Oh my goodness, look at the time! I need to get back soon or Kuma-chan will get angry at me. Yeah. Good luck. Best wishes. Best wishes. Kuma-chan, huh? Alright, last tip. Last tip. Her? Those guys just now. They had national diet badges. Then it's Prefectural Assembly member and City Councilor Sonozaki. Oh, a relative of Mion? That's interesting. The Prefectural Assembly member and City Councilor are related. It's dirty is what it is, shouting out each other's name during elections. While one is up for election, the other holds an assembly, and they double up their campaign activities. Blatantly. I don't know much about this stuff, but isn't that against the rules of the election? As long as they have no prior consultation, there are no restrictions on their political activities. Kuma-chan, the investigation division is going to be pretty tough for you. You should at least brush up on election policies. I'm not suited for the intelligence division, because I'm dumb. There is prefectural assembly member Sonozaki and city councilor Sonozaki. Also, the mayor of Hinamizawa. All of them involved with the Sonozaki family. What crap. Looks like they were seen off by the department chief and the deputy chief. It came to me. That night, when the chief invited me along to get some Odin, I thought that was it. You have a lot of connections, so you might have heard something. Did you? Nope. Not a thing. Ma'am, I'll take a tofu fritter with fish cake. The counselor barked at me in the police chief's stead. Oh my, is that so? Ma'am, I'll take another bowl. Prefectural Assembly member Sonozaki and City Councilor Sonozaki were both intimidating. Our snot-nosed career police chief couldn't even handle being yelled at by them. They're like Yakuza. A petition with your name came up regarding how the investigation of the Hinamizawa incident is being handled. Goodness me? I have not the faintest. No need to play dumb. You're reopening the past cases regarding Hinamizawa, aren't you? I've already got my hands full with Tomitake's death, actually. Really? If that's true, then there's no problem. There was a period of silence. While we were silent, we made headway on our food and drink. Whew, that was quite the feast. This month has been a bunch of losses for me, so my wallet was feeling the pinch. Much appreciated. Nah, it's nothing. Tell me a good horse again. I'll bet on the same one as you. I haven't been doing well there lately. I haven't been able to read the horses at all. Taxi! I'm going by train. The police chief is taking a taxi. I have my own car, but it'd be rash to drive it home. Can't blow it right before retirement with a DUI. Even though he could still rattle off, it looked like his legs were already goo. Pushing him into the cab, I gave the driver the police chief's address. Well, see you again tomorrow. Happy New Year! Oishi-san. Yeah. The past incidents have all been closed. Stop lumping them all together. Those villagers half believe it's really a curse. Well, I'm not convinced. You're going to be retiring next year, aren't you? Weren't you going to pay off your mortgage with your pension and move up to Hokkaido with your mom? Mother pines to return to the land of her birth. It's the least I can do. And the pension? Well, it'll let me enjoy myself in Susukino. The police chief may issue a special retirement salary raise, he says. A public servant's pension is calculated based on their monthly salary. So if you were able to get a raise right before retirement, your bonus to your salary would be inflated, and you get a heavy surplus of funds. That tends to be how it's done around here. Of course, it's not a custom that's thought of highly. The difference between the bonus and the pension is quite a bit. I expect nothing less exemplary from our egghead chief, but, well, they say our salary is compensation for our hard work, but in the end, it really just has to do with the passage of time. That's not something I can laugh at, but I'll laugh through it anyway. I don't think it's anything exemplary, but given how hard you've worked, it's not odd that you're getting that much of a pension. I'd like to get that much myself. If I can get it, well, of course I'd want it. You'll get it. You're an adult after all. Sorry for holding you up here, driver. Thank you very much. I closed the door roughly, interrupting the chief's conversation a bit rudely. It looked like the chief still had something to say, but he just smiled wryly and waved. I waved in return. The cab sped up gradually and soon disappeared among the sea of lights. Oh man, I wonder if I really can repay that loan. Okay. Well then, save one more time. We did it, everybody. 2 more chapters down. Things are getting just non-stop spooky. At the beginning of the story, it was a little bit of more of a slow burn, but yeah, it's full spook now. It's gone full horror. And I can't wait to see what the next couple chapters will bring. I would like to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe if you aren't already. It really helps me out. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's you can find me at twitter.com/aura_Sinclair. Links are in the description. I hope you all enjoyed yourself, and I'll be back to play more Higurashi very soon. I'll be doing a collab tomorrow with Arcada QT. We're going to be playing It Takes Two. And then come this Monday, I'll be playing more of Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne HD Remaster. Thank you all again for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and have a great rest of your day. Not that there's too much left of it in my time zone, but hey, the night is still young, and so are we. Alrighty, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye.